The Long Haul Podcast, America's Irish Voice. Interviews with inspiring immigrants, renowned Irish personalities, and discussions on all things Irish America. Presented by Michael Dorgan and Johnny Kennedy.
Put the guy's up and he goes, yeah, can you get 20 John Player Blue and 2 antigen tests? I swear to God, guys, I got sucked in by it. I looked and I went, and I seen the antigen test, which are $3.50, and then I paid for my fuel, and then I said, you wouldn't give us 2 antigen tests there, would you, in a €10 quick pick?
In this week's podcast, we compare how Ireland and New York dealt with the Omicron surge over Christmas. Johnny travelled back to Ireland for Christmas and he shares his thoughts on the 8 p.m. closing time, the stress people were under to get negative tests for flying, and the general attitude people had to the virus and restrictions. We also compared the bar and hospitality scene between New York and Ireland, while Johnny gives his predictions for the industry over the next couple of months. We also touch on crime rates in the city now that Mayor Adams has taken over from Bill de Blasio, and how crime impacts businesses here. With regards to the COVID discussion, our timing was impeccable for this one, as Ireland lifted restrictions immediately after we recorded the podcast, but we still think the section is very insightful. Keep an eye out for next week's podcast, where we look ahead to the major sports events this year, while Johnny gives us an insight into his time travelling on tour with golfer Shane Lowry last year. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter at The Long Haul Podcast, while all of our podcasts are up on thelonghaulpodcast.com. Thelonghaulpodcast.com is where you can check our latest episode with Mead football legend Graham Geraghty. Hit that subscribe button to get instantly notified about a new podcast release. How did you get on back in Ireland over Christmas? When did you go home? How long did you stay home for?
2.5 weeks, I think, just a bit longer than normal. Yeah, it wouldn't be my normal, but obviously with the young fella now, it's kind of But like a lot of people are going home from here. If you've met someone here, the chances are he's from different counties. So lucky enough,
of course,
lucky enough, me and the missus are only about an hour and a half away from each other. She's in Tip and I'm in Dublin, so it's not too bad. But so you're kind of. I noticed now we're having a kid going home. I'm sure a lot of people. I remember asking the lads years ago, "Oh, how was your trip home?" And they were like, "Sure, spent on the motorway the whole time." And there is. So we spent half in Tip and half in Dublin. So overall, that was okay. But so it was enjoyable to be at home. But
do you? A lot of people say to me that like they're home for a week and they're under pressure to meet this friend, that friend, this other friend, that you want to go home and just relax for a couple of days.
Yeah, that definitely is a problem that everyone has had over the years. Yeah. But I think the longer you're here, the lesser that happens. I'm 20 years here now, so the lesser that happens. And in general, most people are good. They don't really mind. You probably do make an effort to go. But now with the young fella, kind of that all goes out the window a little bit. Trying to see people is... But again, obviously we're going to get into it, but with the restrictions in Ireland, that has made that an absolute disaster. Like the 8 o'clock closing down in the bars, and it's not a drink thing. It's not anything about that. But you can't arrange to meet anybody. You can't plan to meet people, or you can, but it's like you can't be meeting 2 people in one day type of thing. It's kind of like I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who was home as well, and he was like saying, if you had a bit of a lie-in Ireland over Christmas, you were under pressure straight away then. There's once or twice I stayed in New York time a lot. Like it was terrible. I was going to sleep at like 2 and 3 in the morning. But then I might wake up at 11 and then you're going, all right, it's 11 o'clock, I better get up now. But in your head then you think, shit, well, it's closed at 8 o'clock here. So if you're going out doing that, and I'll be honest now, I don't know everyone else's opinion. And I've talked to a lot of people, and I think you mentioned the same, anyone you spoke to. It just was hard work at home for Christmas this year. I just thought I'd never get back. And no disrespect to my family and all that, they were amazing. Both our families were great and friends were great, but it's too difficult. The whole thing was too difficult, from leaving to getting tested, the anxiety of you were going to be negative, positive, to get out of New York, to then get home. You've then to get tested before you come back, and then you've whatever that app was, Fly something, whatever, what is it called, Verify, which was brilliant. But then you're trying to just little anxiety things that I couldn't envision myself ever having these little things to do, but it's just horrible.
What were the requirements for coming into Ireland? As a citizen, do you have to be vaccinated to get back in, or is it just a negative PCR test, or what is?
Well, I think they assume you're fully vaccinated. No,
were they checking?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the airlines are checking them.
The airlines check if you're vaccinated, even if you're a citizen come back into the country.
Yeah, I'm a dual citizen, so either way you're checked.
Okay.
So they're checking if you're fully vaccinated. and then they're checking for a negative antigen test.
So are they checking the?
The airlines are the ones that are policing.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was like immigration. So when you landed
in Dublin, he does. In Dublin, he'll ask you for that stuff
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll ask you for that in Dublin as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like it was a bit
PCR negative test and vaccine, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And on the way back,
coming back to the States, airline again. Nobody else.
Nobody else. And did you come in? Someone told me Newark.
The immigration didn't ask us for it. No, they don't. U.S. immigration didn't ask us for it. Okay.
Just someone told me that they didn't check in Newark, and I was just wondering what the story. Everything's changing. Everything's changing.
You're flying through Dublin. You're doing all your stuff there, and then it's like a domestic flight landing.
Yeah.
So nobody checks anything in JFK.
Okay.
So they're expecting the airline to do it. Now I found that the Aer Lingus crew in Dublin were very on top of checking everything. You had to show your Verify. You had to show your recent test, and the other part you needed when you were leaving was your contact. Your what do you call it? The basically where you're going to be staying at home and all that kind of details. Yeah. You put all that in, but for anyone that's done it, which I'm sure a lot of people seem to go home this Christmas, certainly for us anyway, you're kind of really worrying about getting all this stuff together leading up to you going home.
Yeah.
And then when you get to JFK, they're barely looking at it.
Sorry.
If you know what I mean. They're barely kind of looking at it. You know, and they couldn't be nicer. Because to be fair, it's a bit like the bar business. Why should the airline have to be policing this?
Yeah.
You know, why should they have to do it? So the girls, they don't want to catch you out at the airlines. Now, I did hear stories. My cousin is a pilot with Aer Lingus, and other people heard stories of people getting turned away going home at Christmas that just didn't have the correct stuff, didn't have the test. I don't know what they did and turned on the waterworks. I don't know if they purposely knew they didn't have it and they were just chancing their arms, but I had heard stories of that happening.
Oh, was it a negative test? Is it 48 hours or 24 hours?
48 hours for going home from the time you land.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how, so if you were landing at 5 a.m., which is one of the flights, 5 or 6 a.m., it had to be within the 48 hours of that.
So, like, we'll get into it, you were just saying actually being in Ireland was different, but the actual stress of going home and...
I think the stress of at home is worse than actually what it should.
Yeah.
Like, as in, the actual going through was fine.
Okay.
Because the airlines are really good about it.
Yeah.
But you work yourself up probably... Like, let's imagine you were here. If you genuinely had, like, a couple going home with 3 kids over a certain age that have to be tested. It's a bit of an ordeal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then if one kid tests positive, or if one of you is, you're like, what do you do in them scenarios?
Comparisons between the way things are at home and the way things are here.
Basically, it feels like Ireland's 2020 and New York is 2022 or 21, whatever. It just feels that and the government, in my opinion, again, people won't agree with me, but I just feel like the government have sucked the life out of people at home. And it's everything, like it's everyone. It's not just an age thing. It's not a generational thing. The young people some of them are like terrified and they're not going here. And I like different stories again. These are just stories I've heard. Like that same cousin of mine that works for Aer Lingus, she was like going to dinner one night, say during Christmas and New Year's. And then there's 7 of them going for dinner. And then 4 or 5 of them are in the group texting to her, oh, are you still coming? Like you travelled a lot. Or are we seeing you were out for dinner a lot? Like they're policing each other.
Yeah.
The one thing I took away from Ireland, the 2 things I've took away, from this trip, is the price of fuel, outrageous. Just want to get that out there. Cannot get over the price of fuel.
Carbon tax by.
Unbelievable, mate. It's 150. I had a Mitsubishi Pajero with me, and it cost me $130 to fill it. 130 euros to fill it. Unreal, right? So that's the first thing. Get that out of the way.
How far did that get you?
Not fucking far enough when I'm going up and down from tip. Like, well, I filled it twice in the whole time I was at home, and there was a lot of time I was just around where I'm from. So, But anyway,
and that was the second thing.
Everyone self-tests at home. They're all mad for the antigen test. Now, maybe I'm wrong. People in New York were they doing it here?
People were.
People were. But population-wise, like there's nearly more people in Queens than there is in the whole of Ireland. Everyone in Ireland is buying them. Like I told you, that day that I did that I filled the car for the 130 euros, I walked into that garage then, and a guy was he was at the hatch to the right of me, because they're nearly are. They still have all the screens up as well, and they still have that's fine. Again, I'm not bashing it, but it just seems so far removed from where we are, from where they are. But the guy's up and he goes, can you get 20 John Player Blue and 2 antigen tests? I swear to God, guys, I got sucked in by it. I looked and I went, and I seen the antigen tests, which are $3.50, and then I paid for my fuel, and then I said, you want actually wouldn't give 2 antigen tests there, Virginia, €10 quick pick. Like, and I ended up doing it. And I was at home and me and the missus were doing the antigen test. And I only done it because I was doing my test 2 days later to come back. And I just said, I'll just do it just in case.
Yeah.
But like, I got sucked in by it. But everyone is antigen tests. I'm sure anyone that's listening to this that's in New York, you're in WhatsApp groups at home, and everyone kept sending in the antigen test. It looks like a pregnancy test. I didn't know what it was. Again, shame on me. I don't see. Now, maybe I'm 100% wrong in this. Unless you have symptoms and you're traveling to go home with elderly people or vulnerable people, why are you getting tested? Obviously, I'm wrong on this, but I'm generally speaking, why would you bother getting tested? Yeah. Everyone at home is flat out getting tested. Now, they have to go home for Christmas, they have to go from this. But not everyone travels home. Like, there's some of them live where they're beside their parents. They're up and out of the house the whole time. I just feel that it's kind of like, it is a bit of a racket at home. Like, let's be honest about it.
Only $3.50 for a test.
Only $3.50 for the antigen.
$15 there.
Is it?
15, 20.
To buy an antigen test in CVS or Dwayne Reed or one?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't do one then. It was too cheap.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I actually thought they were cheaper here. But you can go here and get a test for free, an antigen test for free.
Yeah, around the road. Yeah, none of them in Ireland.
Didn't see them. Yeah. I did an antigen test in Santry, and I paid for it to go in and €25. But I had a bit of a discount code on it, so I paid €25 to do an antigen test to fly back.
But is that the one you put up your nose and the antigen and it just gives a little red mark?
The self-test ones, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't use that for flying though, can you?
No, you have to go and get a lab to do it.
You
have to get a lab to do it, which I done one of them coming back. But you can't get a PCR at home. There's now a massive delay on PCRs at home. Yeah. See, what's happening at home as well is you get people getting told to do the antigen test. So they're doing one of them antigen tests. It's coming up as a positive, and then they can't get a PCR test. Yeah. So you had people that were destroying their whole Christmases. So if you're arriving home from the States or arriving home from wherever, if you have a family member that was insisting on you testing, meanwhile, you've just tested positive to get into the country or negative to get into the country. But you had a family member then who was insisting on you doing it. And they're entitled to do that. But then if you got this negative from this little kit that cost $3.50 out of a Spar garage, now you can't get a PCR test. If you were lucky, you could get one and it took 3 or 4 days. I know personally of people that ended up spending Christmas sitting in a room, self-isolating.
But if you're traveling, it must have been so stressful because if you get it over there,
oh my god,
and you can't come, like if you've work or whatever here, and then you're delayed, you have to quarantine at home. The
thoughts of getting stuck in the bleeding kip in the first place. Sorry, stuck in the place. The thoughts of getting stuck there in January. You're a burden to people as well. Like my family would have probably loved me to get stuck for just because of my son, but not because of me. But it adds to it. But like, listen, it was the same here. They lifted the tourism thing on the 8th of November or something. And all the bars probably had a great, like, November, December in general, up to the second week, start of the third week of November or December, it just fell off a cliff. But you've tourists, we all got excited about the tourists. I think I said that in a previous podcast. But then the ones I've experienced anyway, that were coming from Ireland, they're very much into these antigen tests. So I have these friends that, if they're listening to this, they'll know it's them I'm talking about. But 2 days into their trip here, they were going into Dwayne Reed to get antigen tests. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You're going to destroy your trip. And they did. They'll admit that. 2 of them tested positive. The other 4 had done a test on the street. Didn't get the results for 3 or 4 days. Some of them didn't even get the results. Then they have to test again to go home. Their whole holiday was consumed around testing. And I don't blame them because their fear is... And one of them in the end, she actually tested positive and they had to stay an extra week here.
Oh, really?
So they did spend a whole other week here at their expense.
Yeah.
So it's killing. Now, I know they've just lifted it in the last few days, but like the damage is a little bit done with people. The likes of them are going home, and I don't blame them. And there's a couple that's among them that come every year, and I know that this has scarred them a little bit with New York. But like my brother was telling me, like talking to the concierge in the hotels in Times Square, and leading up to Christmas, they said that the rooms, a lot of the English were staying in the rooms for the last 48 hours. They were terrified of getting it.
Oh, yeah, before they...
Because you get... probably when you're at home, don't worry, we'll test. But then you get here and you realise, well, what if, we're not going to get on this airplane? So it's all great and fine and dandy as regards tourism, but, we're going to be terrified with it.
It's an ordeal, so either going home or coming here on holidays at the moment.
I don't think anyone went home this Christmas that genuinely wasn't doing it for family... It's always for family reasons. We're not being cruel here, but... You can jump on a plane and go to Florida for a week, or you can go home to Ireland. You're doing it for your family, and it's a nice thing to do. And a lot of the younger generation, which we've talked about a lot on this podcast, with different types of visas, it's probably their first time home in 2 years. You're in the same boat. You haven't travelled now in 2 years. Yeah. So a lot of these people haven't been home in 2 years. It's a long time, for a lot of people. And then family at home, and then the COVID. But I'm sure some of them are questioning it after doing it. That it wasn't worth it.
What was your feeling on the mindset of talking to people and we're 2 years into this now? Are people still, I think the mood has kind of changed in New York, that they're kind of moving on. As I know Omicron hit everywhere, were people are people trying to move on in Ireland, or are they stuck in a rut?
I think in people in my industry, like in the service industry, the few of my good friends that are in it, this is just a step too far for them. Spoke to one or two of the lads in some of the well-known places in Dublin, and I remember one of them's particular answer to me was, he said, "I'm just jaded with it. This has just knocked him a little bit further." And he's in the heart of Dublin, he's in the big tourist area, and I could just see it in his face, his words. He said, "I'm just jaded with it," and that summed it up for me. Another friend of mine is in it, and he feels himself just like it's the pressure of it's even got to him, like losing the head with customers.
Yeah,
I told him what the other guy in Dublin said, and he said, I had a similar incident, he said, on New Year's Eve, where I just lost it with a customer. He said, I was in the wrong, I apologise, but you can see why.
Stress.
The government are putting them under the stress, and then you've customers with this 8 o'clock, like this 8 o'clock thing. I genuinely have to been there now for the 3 weeks. They'd have been better off shutting it down completely and took that out of the bar's hands, because it did nothing for them, in my opinion, from what I seen. It did nothing for them. A lot of people didn't bother going out. A lot of people I talked to just said that's not worth it. Yeah. And then you've other people battling in bars, like, because you're getting put out. So I stayed in a hotel in Dublin for 2 or 3 of the nights in the middle of it. We were allowed to stay, eat and drink till 9:30, 10 o'clock, because we were residents in the day. And other people that had been there all day were getting put out at 8 o'clock. I get that it's the rule, but it's idiotic. It makes no sense. But it just, the stress is only on the staff. It's the staff are the only ones that are suffering this.
Where's the science behind it?
Listen, you couldn't even bother with that with Ireland.
Do you ever see that meme where it's the hotel or the restaurant one where the guy is sitting down, no mask on, and the virus is just going like that?
Yeah.
And then he's standing up and he's got the mask on and virus.
Yeah. So I was in one pub at one point, and a group of lads I grew up with, and one of the brothers turned around 7:30, and he ordered 2 rounds for everybody. He got 2 rounds in, like. 20 minutes later, one of the other waiters walking by with an attitude, and I'm not knocking her for her, because she's probably a bit wound up, but she's way too young to be this pissed off about it. Like, it's above her pay grade. But she comes along and goes, "Come on, you just have to go." And I, rightfully or wrongfully, I turn and said, "All right, ma, we believe in now soon." And she loses the head with me, like, "Oh, well, you just have to get out. It's 8 o'clock." And I just said, "Yeah, but you served us." But here I am having a back and forth with it, probably a teenager, when I'm not right, and but at the same time, she's getting pissed off, but meanwhile you just served them at 7:30. But it's just, I feel sorry for the whole lot. I feel sorry for the owners. I'd say that friend of mine that I spoke to in Dublin, who's in a, like I say, a well-known bar for hundreds of years, he reckons he knows of a lot of people are just, this is it for them now, they're done.
They're going to pack it in.
Yeah, he said they're done. Like, I walked through Temple Bar, and you've Oliver St. Gogarty's closed, it didn't reopen for the pandemic, which is probably smart on their end. Yeah. They're tourism driven, they're everything else. The Temple Bar pub that just sold recently for silly money, apparently, and they haven't they just didn't reopen either, and they've just bought the place for reportedly 50 million or something like that. But you can see, like, it's broke people, like, it's just doesn't. I don't know. I just feel in Ireland, it's like, here you feel that it is getting, we're getting on with it. Yeah. We're just getting on with it. Whereas at home, I just think they've just gone too far with people.
I think from my experience of it, it's like, okay, like, we've got the 50 states here. Certain states are doing it differently. As we know, Florida's wide open.
It's 50 different countries. Yeah. Like.
And you can just it's easy to compare it because you're the same country. But if you want, you can move state. You can, like, if there's restrictions, you can just move. You can just go away somewhere for the weekend. In Ireland, everyone is doing the exact same thing. It's like everyone living in one particular, like everyone in California without the weather, that you can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, like, when you think of Ireland, it's probably the same size as New York state. And it's all in that one, like, sort of, you are right, like, if you go down south here, and this is not just now, if you went down south after the first lockdown, the Floridas, the Carolinas, the Texases and all, they just did it differently, and they're not wrong either. Like, and then up here is different, and this is different.
I think that's why people are slightly different here, even though there's kind of restrictions here, that they're like, there's a different mindset. Like, whereas in Ireland, everyone is boxed into the.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I did meet people up front, and I was surprised to listen to some people that they were, like, literally, Like, I mean, I remember even asking my own father, I said, I'm going into town for 3 days, stay in a hotel, do you want to come in and meet us? No, I don't want to go in, there's loads of people around. And my dad wouldn't be like that. Like, and I was like, you're fully vaccinated and boosted, like, no, I just don't want to. And you're kind of doing that to them. They are becoming like lockdown mentality, you know. But then younger people like our age and younger, they're just like, you can see it's breaking a few of them too, where they're just like,
yeah. And then when they have the mind that like they need to go out, and then when they do go out, it's like it's almost they're guilt tripped for going out.
Yeah,
you know, like you're being selfish. Yeah, for going out. It's like, and they've done everything correctly. Like it's like,
well, like I said,
I wonder will we get a big influx of, like I'd say every Irish fella who's got like a J1 visa is just going to flock to New York.
He should. Well, I think he should, because if he gets that opportunity to. But it's hard even for him. And then, like I said, that incident with my cousin, she's arranging to go for dinner, and you've other people within that group of 7 who are all in their 30s, early 30s, and they're texting each other and saying, "But you were out a lot the other night. Are you actually still coming to this dinner?" And I'm sure that person is not like, you know, not like just psychopath at the best of times. Yeah. But the system has them that way. Like every radio station opens up with, and today's numbers, and today's numbers, and today. Now, we're doing a podcast here, and we can't not but talk about it either, because it is affecting our business across the board. Because for the bars in New York, this is huge for us too. Like, because at this time of the year, what you very much rely on, as I said in the last one, they left it a month too late. But October, November, December, that gets you through January, February to get you into Paddy's Day, which then gets you through the next few months to get you into the summer. And whatever. There's always an excuse in New York, which in the bar business is great. We'll always have a reason for why we're not busy. But you're taking away them months now. Like this Christmas wasn't great for everybody, because you've numerous bars cancelling, or parties cancelling. Like, you know what I mean? I know of numbers in certain bars where parties of 100 and 180 and stuff were cancelling on the second week of December. Like it literally fell off a cliff here on the 18th or 19th of December. So tourist-wise and stuff like that, you the 8th of November till the 18th. And not every bar got it the same. Like
I was talking to Vinny when I was in Haswell's, and it was just, I think the first case of Omicron was in South Africa, and he said they had big work parties, and the work parties were cancelling. It was
parties couldn't be seen to be having companies couldn't be seen to be having big parties. Yeah. But that's detrimental to them. I spoke to a bar owner at home, and this guy owns multiple places, like, and he gave back over 200,000 in deposits. Now, I know you can make the arguments, well, deposits are deposits. Yeah, but it was caused by this. It wasn't like the party cancelled. Well, like some of them did cancel, but other ones, it was the restrictions. Some people can't recover from giving back that kind of revenue. Yeah. You know, you might have that money already spent, and you've spent it to buy liquor and beer and all for that party and food. So, I don't know. I just think I fear for Ireland more so that I think they've nearly done the same this Christmas as they did last Christmas. Okay, last Christmas you shut down on the 22nd. You pushed everyone indoors and you end up having a spike. This year you closed at 8 o'clock and you still had your spike. Brown Thomas is packed at 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 at night. You could stand outside Brown Thomas and see the lines down the street. But Kyo's are around the corner after throwing everybody out. And not for nothing. They were throwing people out 7:45 in every bar. When I say thrown out, it's the wrong term, but they had to stop serving at 7:30. So it's not like people used to say years ago, like, the bar closed at 11. You can still get one at 11:15. You could not get a drink after 8 o'clock in most bars in Dublin.
Was that, I know they brought in the rules, but was that a law that they had to stop serving at 8, or was it a guideline?
It was a guideline, the government.
Guideline.
But
so technically,
it was enforced.
If you wanted to be technical, they could have said,
I think
the law is 11 o'clock. And
no, I think it was a law. I think they I know that the guards enforced it. I know that the guards in parts of rural Kerry come into certain bars at 8:15. And we're reading the riot act to the bar owner in parts of Kerry. And even up to yesterday, they were talking to a friend of mine who's a bar in Clare. And the Vanguard and Guard coming in, giving them lip at 8:20 because there's people still finishing their drinks off.
But I said this to you in the last pod. I don't know how they're not up in arms and out in the streets, the restaurant owners. But then I was talking to another bar owner here, like, and he said, like, all right, they're getting money, but then at the same time, if they pull a stunt like that, then the government has ways and means of. They could stand out there and keep an eye on it. Like, there's ways of pressuring.
But there's always been a bit of an anti-alcohol, anti-bars from the establishment in Ireland for years. Yeah. Like every, every budget, everything, alcohol and drink, alcohol and cigarettes were always the two that got hit first. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, like, I think it's because of what my friend said. they're just jaded.
Yeah.
They're just beaten. They're a beaten ticket for a lot of them for this. Like, and I know I said there they got paid, like they got money. For a lot of these bars, that money wouldn't have meant anything.
Yeah.
It's all very fine saying a bar in the rural part of Ireland where your man might have been getting 3,000 a week. Because I think the max was 5,000, but some of them might have been getting 2,000 or 3,000 a week. So he's sitting at home, he's getting 2,000 a week, so $8,000 a month in his pocket there and all. That might sound great, even the way I'm saying it to that guy individually. What about all the staff he had? What about all them? Like they're put on the pulp or whatever they call the pulp, whatever the dole thing. Where's it going to end for the inflation for these people? Like, where's the,
that's another thing. They're spending so much money, they're destroying the economy, and like if there's going to be strikes now from now on, and they could keep closing down. Where does it end?
Yeah, I think I said it to you the last time. That was a Tommy that said it to me. He said, "Is this going to be Christmas in Ireland for the next few years, just so we can have a summer?"
Yeah,
it's a bit rude to the bar industry because, and again, I know I'm repeating myself in this. The bars are doing everything by the book. Like if you went into any of Louis Fitzgerald's pubs in particular, just because I was in a few of them, he runs it so well. They're so straight in vaccine card. It's a lot. Mine didn't work a lot of the time because it's a New York one, international. Fine, show us photo ID to match it. Go ahead. Brought you to your seat, put you down. No sitting at the bar. It was done so well. But yet I could go into Brown Thomas and it was wedged. Like, what? I've made this argument from the start. I think you would have a better chance of keeping this under wrap if you enforce the bars to enforce their rules. Now what you've done is you've a Louis Fitzgerald and you've an Alan Clancy and all these lads that own a lot of bars that are all doing the right thing. And then we all know there probably is a few other bars around the country that are and they're not doing it just for development. They're doing it because they need to do it.
But of course, would have made a difference if they just left things open. That's the other side of the coin. Like,
of course it would. Well, I certainly think after the first lockdown, you've shown them, listen, this is the other alternative. And I think at this Christmas, if they'd have left the bars open the whole time, not for nothing, do you know what? There's so many people at home that don't want to go out. They're terrified. Yeah. So it's not like there was people. It's not like you kept loads of people indoors. Like one of the days the bars closed and we were on Grafton Street. And right at the top of Grafton Street at 8:30 at night, there's all the young kids in and they're after buying loads of cans at about 7:30, loading up the bags and they're walking out of the supermarket with all these cans out of Stephen's Green or whatever. It was just around that area. And the guards are across the road and they can see them doing it. But like, what are the guards supposed to do? You know they're going to a house party.
Yeah.
But at least if you walked into Keogh's, for example, or Brussels, the lads were like, card, vaccine, photo ID, sit here, sit there. Like, they're still at the point at home. Me and Grogan sat at the bar in Keogh's and we give the order to the bartender, which I don't think he was even supposed to take it, but he took it. There's a screen there. And then a waitress brings down our drink. Like, that was New York 2020. Like. And now it's still the same over there. So what's the point? Like, I don't get it.
The industry here had a boost before Christmas with the restrictions being lifted on people on tourism. So you got a big boost, and then it kind of hit a wall just as it was picking up. Like, did it just before Christmas?
I feel that, the 18th, 19th, around that week. I spoke to a couple of other bar owners and bartenders and stuff like that, and it's just the week before Christmas, it went from that to boom, and it died. And now we could be also like over egging it a little bit here. It is January. Yeah. But like, it's been dead all week, like, you know, and anyone I talk to, like, I know, as I said to you, them bars before that have done very well during the pandemic and that, but even they're a long way off. Our biggest problem probably now is, if any owners are listening to this, they'll agree, is trying to find work for the staff you had. So a lot of bars, especially the bigger places, that took on extra staff. Now, and like all these lads, like, you know, they're good people. Majority of these owners, they have a guilt element now of trying to find work for people. Like, you know, I was talking to Macker in particular during the week. Like, Macker's a lot of staff, and now we scrambling trying to put this one here, that one there, and this one there. And there's a guilt in that as well. Then you feel bad, like, oh, well, I needed you before Christmas. But what do you do? Generally, your senior bar staff and waitresses and floor staff in general, they're happy enough with it in one way. Like, they're going, all right, it's January, but at the same time, you don't know the predicament. Yeah. They don't know where's the finish line, or like, where's it going to lift here?
They're better. Like, I presume, like, they're thinking, I'm better off getting a job here down at Home Depot where I'm going to get my hours. And
I don't think for a lot of them that's kind of their thing. But that's what happened. No, but you're right. That's what happened before. Like, we didn't rehire. I hired two lads that came out from home. And I'm trying to keep something going for both of them. Like, but one of them is like, he wants to be in this industry. The other one's trying to get it. He's on a grad visa. He's trying to do both. So just trying to keep a bit of part time for him. But likes of Adam and Westbury and like Debbie and stuff like that, Jade and Cormac here, this is their jobs as well. So, but they don't mind now taking a bit of time off. Like, it's holiday season for them. and like they're all young and they don't have any major overheads and commitments, but you don't want to undo your hard work either. Like you've made a lot of good money over Christmas and stuff like that. It's not really the logic. It's not really now to spend it in January. That's so. If they knew it was going to lift, which I think it will, I think we are probably getting a little ahead of ourselves. A lot of our it's dead. The city is dead, and lads, it is dead. Like walking the streets there, it is pretty bleak. But obviously, because of this other variant, and now
all the tourists would have been in for Christmas on top of
the tourists would get you through. And then a lot of Irish tourists, a lot of the times they were coming to see family. A lot of them hang around till the first few days in January, so that gets you through to then. And then you've Super Bowl. You're leading up to all these things, but all these offices not coming back now is massive. Yeah. It's massive. Like, because Christmas is not exactly the big holiday in America anyway, so it's not like the way we think of it, but. I think it'll be fine.
Did you consider? Are you going to stay? You're going to stay open? Obviously.
I've actually to close here, or where we're in the long haul here. I have to we have to close here on Monday, but there's actually kitchen work that I've been putting off for like a year or two. So I'm going to close here for probably 2 weeks to redo. We have to do a whole new Ansel system and a whole new duct system. So that's kind of came along at perfect timing. But again, I have to pay the staff. Yeah, we have to pay all our kitchen staff while we're closed. It's not their fault.
What was the dynamic between the two bars over Christmas, where people just going back over and back, or did one do better there?
We had a lot of Christmas parties that would have one or two Christmas parties that originally would have been in the long haul. Yeah, they just wanted to go to the Westbury.
Yeah, I heard that every Christmas party I heard it was on the Westbury.
Yeah, it seemed to be that way. But no, we'd actually a lot of them here.
Then down to Haswell's, you've it all sewn up. The Kennedys have it all sewn up here.
I wish I must. But the likes of Johnny Glynn's crew, Topliners, I think they had their Christmas party here for every year. So they've had they've still had it here. Linesight had a few parties here, and Archstone have always had a party here. So they've kind of had them, and then Paul Moore kind of would have. Paul's a roofing company. Paul would have always had a party here, but Conor Moore married into Paul's family. So with Conor being a partner in the Westbury, Paul Moore took his allegiance to the 38th Street, I suppose. So that's okay. I think overall, but I think it's going to be fine. There seems to be a lot of the offices are talking of coming back mid-February. Okay. And that's not just one of those Chinese whispers things. There does seem to be this new mayor. You'd be not more knowledge on this end of it, but he's certainly saying all the right things. Now, following them through. But it's pretty easy to say a lot of the right things after this last regime that was in there and stuff. But if he can get it, he's talking about, he said a great thing there during the week about how bad Penn Station is. Yeah. It's not very inviting for people to come in. And I know, it's bleak.
Penn Station, for people who might not know or who do know, it's under the Madison Square Garden. And it's just like you go down there and there's people out of it. It's homeless, drug addicts, like, nothing against them, but like we were waiting for buses there, and this is a couple of months ago. There was a guy just
you've been a long time waiting for a bus at the train station.
Waiting for
Should you not been up at the Port Authority?
Sorry, this is Port Authority as well.
Port Authority.
Port Authority. So they're both basically the same.
Yeah, they're in competition to see who can look more like the 70s.
Shocking. There was a guy just our bus was delayed just a few months ago, and he was just the way you just relax like that. So I just walked up, just tried to take the phone.
Sure, wouldn't care.
Lars, hey, and you ran just.
Wouldn't flinch him.
That was it's just the people, and I saw people. It's just mad. It's just so.
Like if he gets in and cleans up, say, them areas, he's already brought the police back on side. Like they've rehired a lot of this the gang sort of thing. He's put that defund thing crap away, and all. He's definitely doing all the right things in these quarters. That it could turn around very easily, and it make it easier for the offices to come back. Like if you're working in Deutsche Bank or something like that, and your boss is telling you to come back to work, it's an easy sell to say to him, like, you know what, I don't feel that safe going in there. I've worked from home here. But like a lot of these big companies are renting in New York like I am. Like they have bills to pay here too. Like they don't own these buildings. Like, people always say, the offices are not coming back. It's not just as simple as walking away from a lease on a building. Yeah. And you do get to a point where you have a bit of a duty here you can't keep bitching about the city if you're not going to do your own bit on your end. Like.
So Eric Adams is the new mayor. He came into office on the New Year's Day. For people to know, he's a Democrat, former cop. He was the Brooklyn Borough president for a couple of years, and he replaces Mayor Bill de Blasio, who did 8 years here. And I think de Blasio is a Democrat as well. I think he's hated by both.
I was going to say,
I couldn't find that unified Democrats and Republicans. People hated him.
Yeah, you can.
He was I think he did say that he's self-described Marxist, but he was just hated by everyone, and crime just went up. And what was Adam saying? What was Adam saying in regards to Penn Station?
He just feels that even structurally to look at it, to come into it on a safety element he's talking about New Yorkers here and people that live in New Jersey. Like, he's talking about people that work here. It's not a tourism thing. He's saying this needs to clean up in order to even start people feeling safe to coming to work. You know, and we're not going to sit here and say like New York's fine now and everything. It's not, but it's not like it's just a grimy feel around that area, and people coming in. Like, you go to Grand Central, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's always been this nice kind of, and there, you know, it's people Eastchester, Westchester, up north, coming down that direction, you know, the Hudson line. It's this nicer feel of coming into the city. You're coming from New Jersey, Philadelphia, coming this other side where most of them come in through Amtrak into Penn Station, and you're presented with this. It ain't that safe, like. It isn't, and it's seedy looking. Like, someone got shot there. A tourist got shot there a couple of months ago. It ain't, you know, I'm not just on here to paint this bad picture, but that is reality, like.
It's like they had took the approach that, you know, it's not empathetic to shift people out of the building, like that they've nowhere else to go. What are you going to do with this homeless person that's
Listen, a lot of these people got put out onto the streets from with mental health issues. And okay, they need help and they need this. Right, so you're going to put them in on 36th Street beside 3 or 4 bars. Like, I have friends that have bars on that street, and they were literally all put into these hotels here. But there's no care for these people in there. There's no medication for them or nothing. But then the business is down 3 doors down, and now he's a landlord screaming at him for his rent. And he's a homeless person that's annoying the tourist that's sitting outside. Like, the ripple effect across the board is not good. Like, and it's very much, I feel, obviously I'm biased in this, but it's very much Midtown. Midtown has really been hammered with this, like, more than anywhere. So other parts of the city have thrived because of this, and you're so happy for them. But I'm sure they have their woes as well with all this type of stuff. But I just feel that Midtown has really been neglected more so than anywhere else. Like,
so what's the story with the bars for the next couple of months? You were saying in the last podcast that there might be looking for not a bailout, but another government loan or something. Or what's the? I
can't see how they won't. Like, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be talk of it or an appetite for it. But I see he's come out straight away and done something for a lot of small businesses. I think this new mayor has talked about helping out small businesses, like whether it be little gift stores and little stuff like that.
Lifting red tape and stuff. That's what he was trying to.
Yeah, a lot of restrictions. That's big. Like, that's good. Like, but look, it just shows what the city can do when they need to. So, like, this outdoor seating in a lot of places, it's been great. Like, and let them keep it forever. Not just tell them, okay, now you can have it for 22. Pat themselves on the back. Lads could go out and spend good money on these structures if they could keep it, because there is a lot of people. I had a Christmas party that wouldn't entertain us because we'd no outdoor space. Just New York City, and you want an outdoor space in December. But I don't blame them.
Where were we a couple of weeks ago? It was actually fairly humid on a Saturday morning in December. Myself and Lauren, I was like, "Gee, we'll sit outside," and it was fine. And there was a place with an outside area, and we sat down. Not because we didn't want to go in or anything. It was just.
But you had an option, and it was warm. But if you could let people spend good money on these structures and make it more of a permanent thing.
I think I did a story on it yesterday. Hochul is giving tax credits for bars and restaurants to buy seating and outdoor heaters for bars and restaurants. I don't know, is that going to make a difference to you?
It's a start. It is. It's a great start. It'll be difficult for me here on 34th.
Yeah, you've no option for both of them, really, do you?
Well, I would eventually with the Westbury, but the problem is at the moment, which is a good problem, is Amazon headquarters are being built across the street. Like,
all right.
So that kind of comes out onto the street on the opposite side of the street. So if I had outdoor seating in mine, it would turn into a little bit of a chicane. It'd be a bit of a Formula One feel to it. I don't know how safe it would be.
I just always drive through the Monaco one and PlayStation.
Exactly. That's exactly what it would be like. So I don't know how appealing that would be. But again, if I was told I could have it forever, you know, you'd spend the money on it and you'd go out there.
Drinks to go are making a comeback too, Hochul was saying. Would that make any difference?
But again, like, you look at like Glen down in like the Harry Lemon and places like that. Glenn got fines all over the place because there was people drinking outside his bar that he didn't even serve, and they were going off to the park. So, you know, the lads are giving them the drink. Yeah. And then people are going across the road and they're doing this. They're outside the lads' bars and there wasn't even them that was serving them. Bua got in trouble and got a fines, I think, and the lads weren't even open. But there was people from other bars drinking outside their bar. So that comes with its own sort of, you know, that comes with its own problems as well. Like, to go drinks, it sounds great in theory, like, and all that type of stuff. A lot of these things are like, they think it's great for us, and you can have this and you can have that. You're at the point now where bars are weighing up their options. Am I better off closing for the month of January or February and send everybody home? Take my chances. Now, I'm not giving any state secrets here away. A lot of these kitchens have a lot of guys in them that don't have papers, right? So you're going to take the chance and let them all go and then start again. And then they have no, financially then they're struggling. But you're probably in a better position to pay your landlord then by being closed. Or do you do exactly what you just mentioned? Do you go for it? Do you have your food to go? Do you have the drinks to go? Do you have and then you're spending all this extra money on to-go containers or stuff to go. And then you've Grubhub and all these people, DoorDash saying, they'll do it for you. They're taking about 10, 15%. Yeah. The price of food as it is a joke at the moment. So where's
I was talking to Nick Murphy yesterday on that story from Bar 43 in Sunnyside. He said they can't even get the plastic cups, even if it does come in. They can't even.
There you go.
There's no plastic cups because of the supply shortage. So.
But it's like, and people are great. Like that's the one thing I keep always saying. Like customers are still so generous and they're so good. But all you care about, and I guarantee most owners listen to this and stuff are saying, if their staff can make money and they can break even for the next whatever, how long does that go on for?
It sounds like the podcast we did with Cormac from Cormac 12 months ago,
wasn't it?
And he decided to shut down Pig and Whistle for the winter months and then open again.
But I know of a couple of bars. I know one owner in particular, a friend of mine was talking to him yesterday, and he's closing for January and probably the first week or two of February. But he runs the risk then of letting that kitchen staff go, and then he's to start again. So does he keep it? Does he take the hit and pay the kitchen staff? Okay. And then hope to start again? It's probably a gamble worth taking. Yeah. Because we went from every one of us crying out in December to try get staff. Like, I mean, you were begging people to come back to work. Like, you had lads ringing up, like, looking for $35 an hour, like, and to work in your kitchen and stuff like that. We had one girl come in and she wanted $25 an hour. And so we got her to train one night. She stood in the one position peeling potatoes. She wouldn't put the peelings into the bin. And then when the lads asked her to do her burger, to do this, she hadn't done it. She'd worked in a school kitchen, but she wanted $25 an hour. And when the lad said to her about putting the peelings into the bin, she said, I don't do that. Needless to say, she won't be cooking your curry fries, lads. She did not last. Thankfully, Cottle was smart enough when she was sending Cottle her demands. Cottle had said to her, don't give in your notice at the school just yet. Like, come in and train for one night. Because she wanted to quit her job in the school. But they're all finding out that this money is out there. But now we're in January and it's not really out there. Like I think I said to you in the previous podcast, January and February will tell a lot in the bar business. And that's Ireland, here and everywhere. Not everyone had, like we did decent in November and December. We're not complaining. But a lot of people didn't get that hit because a lot of them didn't reopen in time, I felt. Like even with the long haul, we didn't open the long haul till November. And we were probably off a little as well. But we've such a sort of a loyal following that we had a lot of lads who were like, long haul's open, let's go there. So we did fine in it. But if you were just like kind of a regular bar in Midtown, like say the Westbury, just a regular sort of bar in the sense of you're basing it on offices and tourism and location and stuff like that. If you opened in November, you probably missed the boat because you were too long. Closed. People forgot you were there. The same office weren't down the street. If they were down the street, they've already found another place. So you're like starting again. Again, I predict you will see a lot of bars closing in the next 2 months. As in, you'll see them. I've already got sent an email of one or two now that are, well, I'm not surprised. They were kind of closed anyway. I know of another bar not far from here, and I was speaking to the owner from there, and he never got open. He said, I had a bit of flood damage, so I didn't bother opening yet. But
and the objective is just get to Paddy's weekend, then it.
Yeah, you would hope so. Yeah. Well, you've Super Bowl, which is never really a huge. Like,
what's ahead for January, February? There's not bar Super Bowl.
There isn't. But see, normally what you'd have is Six Nations to get you through February, and you'd have Super Bowl that get you through that. Like I will look back, we had an amazing 2 months before the pandemic. And I was trying to work out what it was. I think Conor McGregor might have fought in that time. Oh, right. And then you had your Six Nations, and then you've your stuff. January and February were always decent. This is why, like, we all think, like, the first week of January was always crap enough. Yeah. If anything, I would say the week after Super Bowl, to me, was always nearly the quietest week. Because if you've spent money on your credit card, you're probably not getting that bill till February. You don't get it in January. So, again, as I said, not everyone in New York celebrates Christmas like we do at home. So January is just like kind of another month for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But now with this new variant and keeping everyone out of the city, January is obviously worse than previous Januaries.
Yeah.
I'm predicting or
Like,
guessing.
I can't see us being shut down for. I can't see.
I don't
shut
see
down
us
for
having a
Paddy's
shutdown.
Day. Yeah,
I don't see
yeah.
us having another shutdown.
Yeah.
But is that a good or a bad thing? Like, if you're in the bar business and you get a shutdown and they give you a loan like they did the last time, going on what I just said to you, a lot of bars would take that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get that. So, but they're going to force our hand. It's still going to be crap anyway. Because the tourists, now it was obviously great that they've lifted the getting tested to fly back home. So you don't need, so for anyone that hasn't copped it, a few days ago they lifted flying back from the States or overseas, you don't need to have a negative test if you are fully vaccinated. That's what the killer was here.
Yeah.
Was people having to do that. Obviously what we spoke about a minute ago. So that's big now. But is the damage done a little bit?
Yeah.
Irish people, from my feeling, there's no appetite for them to be flying to New York anyway. There's a lot of people that probably, younger couples and all, will be going to Florida and stuff like that. So that is, at least that's something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'll be a long few months.
Away, you Santy, my dear Annie.
And that's all for this week. Let us know what you think by leaving us a comment on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Long Haul Podcast, or visit our website, thelonghaulpodcast.com, where you can check out our big interview with Meath football legend Graham Geraghty. In next week's podcast, we look ahead to the major sports events this year, including that massive Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight at Madison Square Garden, while Johnny gives us an insight into his time travelling on tour with golfer Shane Lowry last year. Thanks for listening, and Slán go fóill.
You Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can you dance the polka to me? Why, you Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can you dance the polka?